Actually, in the morning, I explained about the different theories which explains about the origin of life on the earth. So, but it is not at all recorded. So that's why once again I am. So actually, theories regarding origin of life, theories which explains about the origin of life. So how the life is formed on the earth. So introduction. Several attempts have been made from time to time to explain the origin of life on earth. As a result, there are many number of theories which explained about the formation or the birth of life on the earth, and which offer their own explanation and their own way of thinking on the possible mechanism of origin of life. And here is some of the theories which explains about the origin of life on the earth. So one, theory of special creation, theory of spontaneous, theory of biogenesis, theory of biochemical evolution, the theory of panspermia, and deep sea hydrothermal vent theory. So theory of special creation, theory of special creation. So in this theory, the followers, they thought that the life on the earth is created by a supernatural power. Say in some of the terms it may be called as God. In some of the terms it may be called as Brahma, or in Jesus, or in Prophet. Likewise, depending upon the religious thoughts, it is thought that a supernatural power created the life on the earth. So all the different forms of life created by God. And according to Hindu concept, Lord Brahma created the living world in one stroke. And Christian and Islam believe God created this universe, plants, animals, and human beings in about 6 days. And three main postulates are: all different kinds of animals and plants were created at once. All organisms were created in the same form in which they exist today. That means the human beings like human beings, and the plants like the higher plants, higher plants. That means so all the world, the living world, are created as it is, and their bodies and organs designed to fully meet the needs of the environment. Fully needs of the environment. So actually, the first special creation theory, it has no scientific basis. It does not bear any scientific basis. And then theory of a spontaneous generation. Theory of spontaneous generation. And this theory explains that things obviously from inanimate objects. They are created from objects. It is also called abiogenesis or biopoiesis. Biopoiesis. And the supporters of this theory are Epicurus, Aristotle, von Helmont. They believed that insects arise from dew, fish and frogs from mud, fly maggots from meat, and the opposers of this theory are ready. and Spallanzani posture. Actually, the Francisco Redi, Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur, they opposed this the theories followed by Aristotle and Epicurus and von Helmont. And the opposers disproved this theory also. They disproved theory also. That means that is the special creation is not at, and mud will not gives rise to any type of life, and they proved this with the help of some experiments. And theory of panspermia, and it is also known to be theory of interplanetary spores. So it is proposed by Richard in 1865 and supported by Arrhenius. Life had come to the earth from other planets of the universe in the form of resistant spores. Resistant spores. The British astronomers Fred Hoyle and Chandra Wickramasinghe proposed interstellar dust and comets contain organic compounds. So interstellar dust and comets, they contain organic compounds. And comets, which are largely made of water, ice, carry back across galaxies and protected from the radiation along the way. The 2005 Deep Impact mission to Comet Temple discovered a mixture of organic and clay particles inside the comets. Dr. Richard B. Hoover, an astrobiologist with NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, published a paper on March 4, 2011, claiming to have found fossil for cyanobacteria in an extremely rare class of meteorites called CII carbonaceous chondrites. So some other theories. Theory of eternity of life. Life only changes its form but is never created. It has no origin and has always existed. And theory of catastrophism. Modern theory of a special creation states that there have been creations of life by God, each preceded by a catastrophe resulting from some geological disturbance, some kind of geological disturbance. It may be by means of earthquakes, or it may be by means of volcanic eruption, and so on. And it may be by means of tsunami. Since each completely destroyed the existing life, creation consists of life from different from previous one. So that means in their belief, the major disasters on the earth, they are occurring for the eradication of the existing life and for the creation of the new life. And main supporters, French scientist Georges Cuvier and Aubigné, and vitalism. Only living tissue by virtue of possessing some life force can produce organic compounds. And the supporters are the Berzelius and Benson. The production of acetic acid from its elements by the German chemist Hermann Kolbe in 1845 disproved vitalism. And a theory of biochemical evolution. So, and it is okay. So, theory of biochemical evolution. So, the theory of biochemical evolution, also known materialistic or physiochemical theory, proposed independently by a Russian scientist A.I. Oparin in 1923 and an English scientist J.B.S. Haldane in 1928. According to this theory, life first arose from a collection of chemical substances by a progressive series of reactions. Early Earth's surface and atmosphere radically different from today's condition. It is radically different from today's condition. The primitive Earth's atmosphere, it is reducing type. Solar radiation and lightning must have been the chief energy source for these chemical reactions. The organic compounds usually accumulated in oceans and formed hot primordial soup or hot dilute soup, also known as Darwinian's warm little pond. Darwinian's warm little pond. The proteinoids and other organic and inorganic molecules aggregated and precipitated in sea, forming organized colloid aggregates called conservates. Called as conservates. You are observing here, these are the conservates were able to absorb and assimilate organic compounds from the environment in a way reminiscent of metabolism. Reminiscent of metabolism. They divided by budding. Oparin considered that the active cells of the Sydney Fox obtained proteinoid microspheres by heating a mixture of dry amino acids and by 130 to 180 degrees centigrades, and later cooling them in water. It was similar to coccoid bacteria. They are similar to coccoid bacteria. And after that, in the modern theories which explains about the origin of life on Earth, UREY and Miller experiment is also an important one. So drawbacks of UREY and Miller experiment. By examining rocks dated to be 3.7 billion years old, geologists determined that Earth had an oxygenic atmosphere. Oxygen is an oxidizing agent and would inhibit chemical evolution. And experiment produced a mixture of right-handed and left-handed amino acids, but in nature, left-handed ones predominate. Now it is thought atmosphere of the early Earth was not rich in ammonia, methane and ammonia, essential ingredients in Miller's experiment. So deep sea hydrothermal vent theory. Deep sea hydrothermal vent theory. Recently, some scientists put forth a hypothesis that life originated near a deep sea hydrothermal vent. Black smoker hydrothermal vent, first discovered vents, produced extremely hot water, 350 degrees centigrades, not conductive to microchemical evolution. Lost City hydrothermal field, alkaline vents in mid-Atlantic Ocean, discovered by Kelly and others in 2000. Much cooler temperature of water, minus 70 to minus 90 degrees centigrades. They are porous, honeycombed with cavities. The cavities are at a scale of 1 micron, the same size as a living cell. The cavity was saturated with iron sulfur mineral pyrolysis. Iron sulfur mineral. So H2 plus carbon dioxide gives simple molecule. Simple organic state. The serpentization, chemical reactions between seawater and mantle, large amounts of the mineral olivine, and H2O, that is water, was reduced by ferrous, and H2 hydrogen and sulfur is released. Hydrogen sulfur is released. All the vent ocean interface, sulfur precipitate, iron, nickel, etc. The transition metal sulfides. They catalyze hydrogen dependent reduction of carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide. The carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide gives CH3COSCH, that is methyl thioester of acetic acid. These activated acetic acid derivatives serves as starting materials for subsequent exergenic synthetic steps. The vent pores concentrated large molecules like nucleotides, formation of RNA, DNA, and proteins. RNA, DNA, and proteins. The recent developments. Let us see. So, according to recent developments in April 2011, the researchers in Italy found that if they mixed formamide, a simple chemical present in space, with material from a meteorite, and then heated the mixture, that they produced nucleic acid, that is building blocks of DNA and RNA, the amino acid glycine, and a precursor to sugar. In February 2010, scientists at the Scripps Research Institute in San Diego announced that they have synthesized RNA enzymes known as ribozymes that can replicate themselves without the help of any proteins or other cellular components. In May 2009, a team led by John Sutherland, a chemist at the University of Manchester in England, discovered how the basic nucleotides of RNA could spontaneously assemble. He formed the RNA nucleotide ribositidine phosphate from cyanoacetylene. So, when we observe all the previous theories and the moderate and modern theories, all the evidence gathered thus far has revealed a great deal about the origin of life. But there is still much to learn. The numerous scenarios have been explored for many years, but there is still a large gap between what is known and what is unknown. Because of the enormous length of time and the tremendous change that has occurred since then, much of the evidences relevant to origin has been lost, and we may never know certain details. Nevertheless, many of the gaps in our knowledge have been filled in recent years, and continuing research and new technologies hold the promise of more insights. Okay, and likewise, so many theories are supporting the origin of life on the earth. So actually, it is estimated that Earth is formed around 4.5 billion years ago. It took 500 billion years for the crust to solidify. The oldest fossil of microorganisms are 3.5 billion years old. So, have you ever wondered how the first life form on Earth come into an existence? So, Big Bang theory. So, according to Big Bang theory, a sudden and a large explosion that occurred in the universe. That occurred in the universe. So, according to this one, it is assumed that in the beginning, whole energy of universe was concentrated at a point. Due to a huge explosion, this energy got distributed, which formed 1 minute. due to no power, okay, so which formed present day earth. So theories on origin of life, theory of creationism, theory of extraterrestrial origin, theory of biochemical evolution. Already we discussed about them, and creation by God. Extraterrestrial. So some of these spore-like structures, they are coming from other planets. They formed the life. And Carl Sagan, comets give and comets take away. And this is the biochemical evolution. Conditions on early Earth: no free oxygen, free hydrogen, CH4 and NH3 and H2O. Atmosphere above warmed seawater that contained H2O, hydrogen, CH4 and NH3. The electrode that simulated lightning is the UREY and Miller experiment. After some days, they obtained organic compounds like amino acids that were collected in cooled water. The most relevant theory regarding the origin of life is theory of biochemical evolution.